here we are. We traveled 8 hours here to see Coalition Auto Lab, and today we're going to be learning about wrapping itself, how Coalition Auto Lab even started, and they're going to be teaching me how to wrap my hood today. So next to us we have Miguel, and we'll be learning a lot. Let's get ready with the interview, and yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah. So why did you choose to wrap?
Why did I choose to wrap? So when I was younger, I was always into modifying cars, like for Need for Speed. You play Need for Speed game, right?
Yeah.
So I had the Need for Speed Most Wanted. Both of my parents worked 2 jobs, so I was basically left by myself most of the time, and video games were kind of my escape. So if you ever play video games, I always like to have cars with different styles, different colored paint. So I always knew what I wanted to do. So I took a course in tech. There's like this place called Tech Campus where you can go to college and learn how to do automotive body while you were in high school. So I did that, and I loved it. I loved it ever since. But I couldn't find a job in automotive body, and it was very difficult for me to find because I had no experience. So then one day I saw a video on YouTube on someone learning how to wrap, and tried it myself thinking it was easy, but it ended up not being easy at all. So, but after that, I was hooked. I knew right away that I wanted to be better at wrapping, and I never stopped. I learned on my friends' cars, I learned on my family's cars, I learned on my cousin Christian's car, and just kept going ever since.
I like that. So you've been rapping for a while. I remember you told us, but how long have you been rapping for exactly?
So I kind of started right around 2017. I started doing little things like, I think the first rap that I've ever done was a Mazda Miata. That was like my first full rap that I've ever done. And I think that was a great starter for me just because the cars are really small. There's nothing really complex on it. But before, I would do small things like roof wraps, some inlay stuff, like some really small things. It's funny because I did a camo on my GTI one time, and everybody made fun of him because they said it looked like a cow. A cow. So I was like, oh, that's not what I was looking for, but I guess cow it is.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. So what exactly did you need to even like start up your own like wrap shop? Because you started from your own garage. So
yes.
Like what did you need in order to like expand to this?
So what you definitely need is some values, right? Some core values in any sort of business. You need to have something that be able to bring the clients in, right? Sometimes for most people is cheaper prices, right? But for me, I wanted it to be a little bit more of an experience more than anything else. So when I started this business, I wanted for my clients to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to pick out a color that they want and get it wrapped at a timely manner. So that's what I did. I give them a time and date for them to drop off their car, and then I also give them updates, take pictures of the car, of the progress getting done. So after that, it was just kind of a snowball effect and the word of mouth, and bit by bit, people were starting to come towards me and wanting to get some work done. But pertaining to actually starting a business, like actually like getting a location, I would probably say that you would probably need to get an LLC first. You need to be reputable, and having an LLC, actually have a business license, will take you a long way.
So let's go to like more of the like wrapping itself here. What cars or car has been your favorite to wrap so far?
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite so far has been the R33 Skyline GTR.
Okay.
And it was funny though, because I'll give you a little backstory behind that. So I actually did a giveaway at my actual Instagram. Give a little shameful plug. It's at Coalition Auto Lab LLC, Instagram, TikTok. But the way I started is when I first moved here, I wanted to give back to the car community because you guys have helped me so much building this business from the ground up. And so I did a giveaway. I did a free wrap giveaway to anybody who was basically a follower of the page. And the one who won had an R33 Skyline GTR, and that's actually been my dream car since the very beginning. And so that was a treat. It was probably the most difficult wrap I've ever done, just because it had so much complexity towards the car. But working on it was a real treat, and I enjoyed it. And then shout out to Peter. Peter's the owner of the R33. He actually, like I said, he won. And he's actually part of SDR Garage, which is a shop that's down the street from where I am. So it's kind of a coincidence, you know. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a great time wrapping that one.
That's cool. That's fun. So I know you have sponsored cars. So how many different ones do you have for your business?
So the main ones that I have, which is, we talked about this before, but I sponsor Team Elevate. Team Elevate is a team that caters more to the car shows. I'm not 100% sure how many cars that they have, but the ones that I've wrapped so far, I want to say it's 5 or 4. I'm not 100% on the actual number. But in terms of the cars that I sponsor altogether, it's probably a good 7 or 8.
Okay.
I have one actually that is in Team Elevate, but he's in Texas. His name is Uzi. Yeah.
Uzi.
Yeah. Shout out to Uzi. Yeah.
Cool. So how does someone actually get sponsored?
That's a kind of a tough question too as well, just because there's a lot of prerequisites when it comes down to actually getting sponsored. And it's really solely up to you, honestly. At the end of the day, I'm making an investment in you because I'm going to give you a really good deal. So you have to make the investment worth it for me. So the way it works is that you have to literally bring me business. You have to be basically an ambassador for the actual business, going out to talk to people, getting my name well known. So they have to have good social skills, be able to talk to people, and be able to convince them to be able to come to me. And the only way that they do that is if they put in the effort. So if you're not putting in the effort, then I hate to say it, but I'm not going to put in the effort too. It goes both ways.
Right.
It has to be equal. I'm not going to give you a good discount and then next year, I never hear from you again.
Right.
So you have to prove to me that you're worth be able to sponsor.
Right. It's someone that's you're benefiting from each other here.
Yes. We're helping each other out.
Exactly.
So it's very crucial that if you do consider wanting to be a sponsored car for Coalition Auto Lab, is that you're willing putting in the work. Because I'm going to be putting in tons of work, making sure your car looks the best when it comes down to either if you do car shows or taking it to car meets or just driving it around. I have to make sure that my quality is always on point. But if you're not doing the same thing towards me, then that's when I don't feel that sponsoring you would be worth the investment.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So do you have any shop builds around the shop, or is it just kind of, this is where you just really work?
This is where I really just work. I don't really have any shop builds. I would love to have one in the future. Like I said, I would love to have the Shelby Super Snake, the F-150, as a shop build. But as you know, they're really expensive. They're like at least $100,000.
Yeah.
So for $100,000, I think I'd rather invest it back into the business and continue to let the business grow. But eventually, I will have a shop build, and best believe I'll be recording the progress of that build too as well.
Right. So that'll be something to definitely tune in on, and you'll be definitely sharing when that's going to happen.
Yes,
right?
definitely. And it would be definitely a build that will definitely showcase the work of a Coalition Auto Lab.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to that for sure. What's been the weirdest or oddest thing that someone's brought in the shop to be like wrapped?
I think the weirdest one would have to be this barbershop called 88 Barbershop brought in it's like a hot towel machine, right? It was white, and he wanted me to wrap it in red. It was like metallic vampire red. And he's been my barber since I was 12, and I'm 31 now. So that just goes to show how long he's been cutting my hair. So that was kind of funny having to wrap that little hot towel machine.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you've committed to that barber, which is cool. So.
And also I've wrapped my toolbox too as well. So
I see.
Yeah.
I think you've not just one, but like.
Yeah, and my cabinets are wrapped in gold just to match the aesthetics of the shop.
I see that. That's cool. I like that. What brand is that, by the way? The rap brand?
That one's Tech Rap.
Tech Rap?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I went with Tech Rap is because it's the cheapest when it comes down to chrome.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So, has anyone ever brought in like a half-wrapped car or like one with many issues?
You wouldn't believe how many times I've had to finish a wrap, fix a wrap, or even take the whole wrap off because they didn't like it.
Oh.
Yeah, and not pertaining to me, of course, as a business that they didn't like the wrap, but I had one in mind that comes up. It was a Porsche Macan GTS.
Mm-hmm.
She took it to another shop. I'm not going to mention a name just because I don't want to. Honestly, I don't want to ruin their reputation or anything. But I guess they couldn't finish the job, and she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, can you finish this job?" And I was more than happy to finish it. Not something normally I would do, and not something that I would make it a habit of doing. Mm-hmm. But I'm all for helping people out, and she was in a real pinch, and she was not happy at all with the whole process of wrapping the vehicle. So I felt like the need to be able to help her out and make the process a lot easier for her. And thankfully, she loved the wrap. She was super ecstatic, and I think situations like that, I know that she's really grateful for it. And to me, that feeling is rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's like I guess if someone hasn't been wrapped by you yet, I think that's a sign, hey, you can get the job done here.
Yeah, so. Definitely. I mean, I've had some clients that went to other shops and they didn't like the quality of work, and then they would come back to me, and they've always told me like, "Oh, I wish I would have just gone to you in the first place." Mm-hmm. And I always tell them like, "Well, it's a learning experience. Like, at least now it's now the different qualities of brand or different qualities of companies, and it's not so much as bashing other other wrap shops, but we are all trying to get better. And for me, I'm extremely passionate about quality, and I want to make sure the job gets done at least as close as perfect as I possibly can.
Right.
So, with that being in mind, I always do my best.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I guess as, you going trying your best and everything, do you as a pro still mess up?
Oh, definitely. All the time. Yeah, all the time. Like I said, whenever there's a human installation, there's always human involved. Mm-hmm. What you do with that is what's really important. I know some people that would kind of just let it go, just like, oh, it looks like crap, and then they just give it back to the customer. Mm-hmm. I would never do that. If there's something that I don't like or something that's just not going to sit well with me, me and myself, I would not let myself, just because I'll sit there and think about it and be more upset about it to the point where I can't let it go like that. Mm-hmm. I treat every car like if it was my own. So if you bring your car in, I treat it like if it was my car that I just bought. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that car looks as good as it possibly can, like if it was my car, right. And it's one of those things, people are spending a lot of money in this, so I got to make sure that their money is worth it. And if it's not worth it to them, for some people, this is a month's worth of work.
Yeah.
And if it's gone to waste, then that's a month of your life gone to waste. And that's very sad. I can't imagine that feeling. Well, actually, I can imagine that feeling because that happened to me before. Mm. So I definitely don't want that for my clients.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So I guess, what would be the biggest advice you'd give to someone that maybe they would want to start wrapping, whether that be their own business or just getting down to wrapping itself?
I think my best advice that I would give someone is enjoy the process. Mm-hmm. If this is something that you want to do and you feel like you would be passionate about it, is enjoy it. There's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be situations where you just feel like you want to give up. But the beauty of it is that you can always keep trying. Even if something doesn't go out the way you would want it to, you can always just sleep it off and try again tomorrow. It's easy to quit, but it's more rewarding to keep going. Mm-hmm. So if you quit, there's no reward. So why not just keep going? You're already in it. Might as well just go all the way. So if you're wanting to wrap or consider it as being a career, just keep going. It's going to be something that's going to be difficult, but everything in this life is difficult. True. You just got to keep going, and at some point, you're going to end up being in a situation where you're going to look back and you'll be like, wow, just imagine if I did quit, I would never be in the situation that I am now.
So dedication pays off.
Yeah, 100%.
Gotcha. So I guess that's all I have for questions about you and the shop, unless there's something you'd like to share that maybe hasn't been talked about.
Okay, yeah. One of the things that I would probably give an advice to as well to people is that you have to have an extraordinary amount of patience. When it comes down to rapping, you need to be able to control your emotions for the most part. Just because if you get angry or you get upset, you need to have 100% focus when it comes down to rapping. If you're distracted and if you got something else in your mind, then that's when you start to mess up. So it's important that when you come into rapping, that you have to have the right set of mind, be able to concentrate on what you're doing, because at the end of the day, this is either, well, if it's your car, then if you mess up, it's kind of not a big deal because it's your own car. But if you're working on other people's cars, then you have to make sure that you're 100% focused, because if you mess up, then that's somebody else's car, man.
Right.
It's somebody else's. If you scratch the car, you're gonna have to pay for that. You're gonna have to make sure that you give it back to the way it was.
You have to, again, it's just being careful with other people's
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Treat it like if it was your own. Yeah, treat it like it was your own. Take the right precautions. Make sure the job is done right the first time. And if you mess up, try again. Just make sure that the job is done right. Don't ever give a product that you're not happy with.
Right.
If you're not happy with it, it's just as easy as talking to the customer and be like, hey, you know what? I don't really like it. I know it's going to take a little longer, but I want to make sure that the job is done right. They might not like it, but at the end of the day, you have a better peace of mind knowing that you did your best.
Right. All right. Well, now let's get down to like the actual business itself. So you just you do wrapping, and you were talking to us about tinting and PPF. So what exactly do you do all here at Coalition Auto Lab?
Yeah, so we have a wide range of like different services that we offer. Like I said, we do window tint, vinyl wrap, paint protection film. We also do headlight and taillight tint as well. And then we also do caliper wrap too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the caliper wrap is kind of really cool. I know there's some people out there, they're going to say you can't wrap calipers because they're going to catch on fire or anything like that. I'm going to set the record straight, is that calipers don't see those type of temperatures. The main friction point is between the rotors and the brake pads. That's where you see the most heat. The calipers don't see that type of heat. Unless you're tracking the car, of course, But if you're a show car or you drive on a daily basis, the vinyl is not going to catch on fire, okay? just an FYI, okay?
Gotcha.
And the vinyl is reflective too, so it's pretty cool. So when you're driving at night and the light hits it, the calipers basically glow up at night, which is cool.
Gotcha. That's cool. It's like I said, and you don't just wrap cars either. Like you said, you brought in you said a hot towel machine, was it? Or
Yeah, it was a hot towel machine.
Yeah. So you can wrap anything, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I've done motorcycles before. I've done like some kitchenware too as well, like countertops. I've wrapped walls before. Vinyl wrap can be used in different types of applications too as well. So it's not just really just catered to cars.
Okay, gotcha. Let's get to, I guess, wrapping itself here. So what materials do you need in order to wrap?
In terms of tools, like the tools that you use?
Tools,
the tools. Also, the main thing, there's tons of tools out there. But if you were looking for like a basic starter kit, if someone's about to start off, I would suggest going on Amazon. They have great starter kits there too as well for you to not spend a lot of money. If you're starting, I would recommend starting with the cheapest stuff first, just because I hate to say it, but some people don't stay on track with wrapping as much as they should. So you don't want to spend like $100, $200 on tools, and next you stop wrapping, and that's all gone now. Yeah, I would probably recommend buying all your tools from Amazon, like a squeegee. The 30-degree blade is probably the most beneficial one too as well. Tucking tools, they're usually called like micro squeegees. And then also a heat gun. A heat gun you can get it off of Amazon too, or you can go to your local Home Depot and get like the Wagner ones.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so you can get those too. I think if you were to price everything, you would probably maybe spend like around $60 to $80 in all the tools. Okay. I think the most expensive would be the heat gun.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then for, I guess, we were just talking about temperature on like while camera was off here.
Yeah.
So you said you need at least 60 degrees to be able to actually like wrap, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be wrapping in the cold just because, okay, first of all, it's going to make installation so much difficult for you just because you're going to have to keep constantly heating up the vinyl. And since it's already cold, it's not going to stay hot for long. So it's kind of vital that you have a temperature, like at least a set temperature in your garage, at least 60 degrees. I think that normally it's around 65, but you can probably get away with 60 degrees. But I would not go any lower than that. That would be just too cold. The vinyl will start to peel just because it tends to, what's called, it's a cold flash. So when you heat up a vinyl and it cools too fast, it would turn like dry. It would turn like brittle and hard, and the adhesive won't actually stick into the actual panel like it's supposed to.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then, yeah, you should wrap in like enclosed space too, right?
Yes, definitely.
You can't really wrap outside.
No, just because there's wind blowing, and then the vinyl will catch the wind draft, and then it starts to flop out by anywhere.
Yeah.
And dirt too. Dirt would be a big problem because once you start getting dirt under the vinyl, you see them as like little specks.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't look the best. So an enclosed location would be a lot better.
Gotcha. So what would you think the best panel to start with would be for a beginner when wrapping?
Probably the door.
The door?
A door. Yeah, a door. It depends on what kind of door we're talking about, right? And which type of car. But door is usually one of the easiest ones to do. I think it would be a great panel to start off, just to get a feel for the vinyl first, and then you kind of work your way out. I would not recommend doing the bumpers first, because the bumpers are probably the most difficult ones to start off with. And since it's a large panel, if you mess up on the bumper, then it's going to be a large piece of the material that you're going to be able to not get back, because you messed up. And most rolls come, well, in your particular vinyl, most rolls come up to like 60 feet, and that's enough just to do the car once.
Okay.
So if you mess up on the bumper, you're going to have to order more material.
Gotcha.
To do the bumper again.
What are the pros and cons on wrapping by yourself and then versus like a pro like yourself?
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we'll start with wrapping by yourself. The pros about wrapping for yourself is, one, the cost. The cost is one of the biggest one. As you know, if you go to a professional wrap shop, they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you quite a bit.
Right.
Naturally, just because they have overhead, they need to be able to charge accordingly to their technique, to their experience. But when you do it yourself, you can avoid all of that. The con of wrapping by yourself is that the quality is not going to be the same as a professional shop would be. But if you're not too picky yourself and you mostly just wanted to just change the aesthetic of your look, maybe for a year or two, then I would really strongly recommend doing it yourself, just because you'll save a whole bunch of money.
Gotcha.
Now, the pros and cons of doing in a professional shop. The pros is that you'll get close to absolutely perfect on your wrap. So if you're looking for something like, if you have a show car, you want to be able to put it in competitions, and you want your car to look the absolute best it can possibly be, then I do recommend getting it wrapped professionally. Now, the cons is naturally the cost. The cost is going to be a lot more expensive than doing it for yourself. I can't say the cost for every other shop, but the cost would be anywhere from, like, depending on the car, of course, and the color, you're probably spending anywhere from like $2,000 to $6,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on where you live, and what kind of car you have.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But again, you're paying for experience, quality, and all that.
Yeah, you're paying for, and also in my particular company, you would also get warranty too as well. So you have that peace of mind, knowing that if something peels, bubbles, or fades, or anything whatsoever, then you have that warranty, and you can bring the car back, and I'll fix those problems at no cost to you.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So what do you think would be one of the biggest challenges when it comes to wrapping?
I think the biggest challenge for me, I think in this stage of the career, is, I think it would have to be just the mental challenge of it, having to constantly doing your best and having to uphold a standard. My standards can be very high sometimes, and sometimes it can be too high for my own good, just because I want them to be perfect. So I have to find the fine line to be able to give something out that would be to my liking and to my customer's liking. I think that's the toughest part. But if someone who's starting off, I think the biggest challenge would be patience. Patience would be the biggest problem when someone's starting off wrapping, just because naturally, since it's going to be your first time, you're not going to get it right away. So For some people, it might be very frustrating having to start over again and then mess up and then start again.
Yeah.
So it can be very frustrating.
Gotcha. But again, at the end of the day, it's just to have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that you should be excited about, something that you should be able to enjoy the process of doing it, just because at the end of the day, it's going to feel like you have a new car when it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, for me, like just personally, like I can't wait to just change the overall look. Like the silver is nice, but it looks like regular traffic to me. I think that's one of the things
definitely.
is like hopefully with this new color that I have, can hopefully get a new look with it. So,
Oh, definitely. And you'd be a head turner for sure. You know, people are not going to, especially in the color that you're going to wrap your vehicle in, best believe people are going to want to look at your car. Yeah.
That's hopefully something I can get. So what do you think are one of the biggest myths when it comes to wrapping overall?
Oh, there's tons. There's tons. One of the ones I keep hearing the most is that vinyl wrap will peel paint. That's the biggest one that I keep hearing. So there's a lot of context to that. If you have OEM paint, the odds of that happening is extremely unlikely. If your car has been in an accident and been repainted, then there's a higher risk of that happening, just because sometimes I don't know if they did the job right. If they did the job right at repainting your panel, whatever accident you have, then you won't have issues of peeling paint. But let's keep in mind that most people don't like doing things right. They just care about the money and wanting to get things done fast. So I've had a couple instances before where they repainted the car and I take the wrap off and paint comes off with it. Just because they didn't do the necessary steps in order for the paint to bond to the actual panel. So it's kind of like floating on the panel. So when you put a sticker on it, even just masking tape sometimes will peel up paint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's one of the myths that would definitely stick to me the most.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. And if, let's just say, because I will be wrapping my car myself. So if my wrap has like bubbles on it or is overstretched, is there a way to go back on that or fixing it?
Yeah, there is. So what's nice about the vinyl wrap, especially the technology nowadays, is that it has air regress. So what that means is that it literally has, there's like a science behind it. Of course, I'm not going to get into too much detail on it. I don't want to bore the audience. So it has like literally like air regress. So what that means is that if you have a bubble, you just literally rub it out with your thumb, and the air will dissipate from the actual from the vinyl. So it's nice. So even if you get a bubble, you can easily just smooth it out with your finger.
Gotcha.
And the technology is amazing. The vinyl technology has come a long way since it's first started.
Gotcha. And then it's the same thing for when it's like overstretched, or is that a different?
So when it's overstretched, what's nice about it too is that you can also pick it back up and then heat it up and release that tension. But it's that comes with experience. There's certain things that you need to look out for being overstretched. There's a thing called bottle capping, and once we get into the installation of your vinyl wrap, I can show you what that is. But bottle capping is a good sense of the vinyl getting overstretched.
Gotcha.
And then you can decide if it's overstretched, you can pull it back, heat it up. It will naturally go back to the way it wants to be, and then you can lay that panel with it being relaxed.
Gotcha. Well, again, I appreciate having all these questions with you, Miguel. So again, I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you.
Now,
appreciate it.
Let's get this Q50 wrapped, huh?
Let's do it.
I bet. Bonus questions here. This is kind of like on the side. So how did you come up with the name Coalition Auto Lab?
So how I came up with the name, it was actually one of my cousins here on the G37. We wanted to start like a car club. The name was going to be Team Coalition. And the coalition really stuck to me just because the meaning behind it, which is a group of people achieving one goal. And the reason why I decided to go with the Medusa head logo was because I had a slogan that said aesthetics that would turn you into stone. So that's our goal as Coalition Auto Lab, where we achieve this goal where when you get your car done by us, you're just stuck in awe, like if you're stuck in stone, like Medusa, right? You know how like when you get your car done and you're just looking at it and you just can't stop looking at it, like you're stuck in stone? That's the whole goal behind Coalition Auto Lab. And that's why we have the name Coalition, because it's a group of people, and also the Medusa head, because that's our goal.
Awesome. I love that, actually. Like I said, that's the same thing for me. Like you teach me how to wrap my Q50 here. Yeah, like I said,
And then you can't stop staring at it.
No,
right?
no, yeah, exactly. Like I said, for me, I'm just excited to get done with it and then take all the information you taught me and just get to it. So
Now just imagine when it's done and completely all one color, you're just gonna be staring at it. I remember when I got my first car wrapped, the very first time I did it, I would wake up like at 1 or 2 in the morning and I would just peek out the window and just look at it and just keep looking at it. I'm like, wow, this is insane. And you know, that's how I want it to be in my business, where I want you to be excited when you get your car done. I want that feeling of excitement coming into you and being like, oh my God, this is like a new car again. And that for me brings me such enjoyment and fulfillment in my business.
I appreciate everything.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for coming by, and thank you for making the trip out here. I know it's quite a distance, but to me, you coming out here is actually something I'm very grateful for. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.